Greetings, gamers, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 8 of Rho Pi Gamma, the Gamers Podcast. Oh, that's a hell of a way to start off an episode there. I am your GM, Byron, and unfortunately, my usual co-host is not able to join me this week. His little girl is sick, so he is having to help with that. But I'm bringing a couple of blasts from the past to kind of try to fill the shoes for this week. We've got good gaming buddies Matt, Allison, and Miri joining me today. So yay!
Yay!
So welcome, guys.
Hi.
Bring in 3 people places.
Wait, what was that?
I said
It takes 3 of us to replace Howard.
Sorry, Matt, you're a little like staticky and I think echoey a bit. Okay, that was better.
Yeah. For a moment there, you were like a Matt again because blast from the past.
And it wouldn't be a true episode without tech issues anyway. So, yay! But
Yay.
I do appreciate you guys coming on to so we can still produce an episode this week. So thank you all.
Very welcome.
So, all right. Well, we usually start off with what we've been doing in gaming recently. And I will start that off because basically the only thing I've done in gaming recently would be the Karma game last night with Miri's fiance Ben and their friend Emmy. And yay! So I was happy to get that game moving along again. So, and hopefully Miri, you and everyone else has been enjoying it.
I have. I still think it's amusing that apparently wanting to kill a character off makes you immortal.
Well, I think that's partially because we haven't decided really on exactly how we're wanting to kill the character. But yes, if you're just leaving it up to the dice rolls, yes, apparently that makes a character immortal. Because Lord knows we've been trying.
Sounds like there's a story there.
Well, this is the Karma game I was doing for Miri and Ben. Similar to what I actually was doing with you guys.
But I kept ruining.
So what?
Who said I kept ruining?
You did not keep ruining that. The last one was scheduled death, pure and simple, and at least.
Yeah.
So, and of course I've got cars running down my street, and we've got the windows open because it's hot in here. But anyway, so for Miri and Ben, I offer the same thing I did for you guys, and they chose to do a Pathfinder game in Draco Terrambita, my primary fantasy world, but also with a new plot line I had come up with when I was at Gen Con, which, you know, the reason for the Karma games were because you guys helped us when we were in a tight spot up in Gen Con. And so I was like, well, you know, I can combine these two. That shouldn't be a problem. They're like, all right, cool. Little did they know that this has been spiraling, at least behind the curtain. They don't know this yet because they haven't gotten far enough in the game to get to that kind of plot. But this has been spiraling out of control. This game now can have like drastic consequences for my entire world. The complete game changer again. And I'm like, I'm just getting my world settled again. I don't really need this, but apparently I did. So they created some character. I've been creating some new races, retooling things a bit to try to start getting my world ready to convert to D6, even though I initially built the world in D&D 3rd edition. So it's very anchored in that, and I've been trying to change things up to unanchor it so I can do it in another
because
system.
You have to run everything in D6.
I don't have to run everything in D6.
But you really, really want to.
Believe it or not as much as I used to. Apparently, doing the work on D6 that I've been doing, I'm finally, it's part of it. There is a slight part of me that's like, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore. But yes, you are mostly right.
I mean, give it a couple of months. It'll be back to, hey guys, I have this really great idea. How do you feel about playing D6?
Well, the next game I'm thinking about doing with the Lucky 13 group is a Star Wars game, and that works best in D6 anyway. So, yeah, probably. So we created characters, and we started off, and actually originally it was Ben, Miri, and Liz. But Liz decided to drop out. But then we brought Miri and Ben's good friend Emmy into it. But Miri then has not, like, she. Okay, Miri, you describe it.
I've been really dissatisfied with my role playing on some characters recently, and the character that I'm playing in that game is one of the characters that, like, I haven't really been feeling the character very well. My gamer parents refer to it as this thing called gelling. But, like, I don't really feel the character, and I wanted to try something new anyway, especially since our party is not mechanically optimized, I think is the best way to put that kindly.
It is not well balanced.
So, I figured I might as well kill two birds with one stone and take my character out of the game and bring in a new character that would hopefully be a character that I feel more comfortable role-playing, a character that I can get into their head better. And also be a party tank, because we kind of don't have one. So, yeah. So we're trying to kill my character off. I mean, we don't know how we're going to get rid of her, but we ended up facing some enemies, which do some pretty good damage, and it's like, well, you know, if I die here, because my character volunteers to be the bait in this trap that we're laying, if I die here, it'll take that right off the table. And then immediately the next thing that happens is one of the enemies naturally 20s my character, fails to confirm a crit that would have one-shotted my character to death.
And then, of course, the healer is able to step right in after they kill the monster and heal her. So it's like, shit.
Well, then, Byron, that's where you could have had a golden opportunity with the weapon being, I don't know, jacked up with something that the healer couldn't do. Like, basically, Vorpal played that for you.
They're not high enough level for something like that. They're literally third level. If I threw something Vorpal at them, yeah.
He said Morgul.
Oh,
Like,
Morgul!
Morgul.
Oh.
Poison her, something that the healer can't fix.
Well, now that you said it, you know what? I might still do that, because they're still trying to clean out this village.
It's basically this evil aberration, void space, zombie fungus hate plague.
Hey then.
That is wow. Okay.
I mean, that's the best way that I can describe it. It's like take the zombie shit from Last of Us and then hop it up on magic drugs.
Yeah, kind of. So.
Okay then.
Well, I had the idea of, like, a corruption invading something, and then when they had me combine it, there's this fungal essence that is slowly trying to corrupt my world, and this is the where they are right now. This is the second time they've come across this, and basically what it is, it's a fungus that when it infects you, it kind of zombifies you, but it's the fungus is a hive mind. So it yeah.
It's an evil
So,
zombie
Borg
fungus
zombies.
hate plague from outer space.
Borg zombies.
Yeah, that's another way of putting it. Borg zombies, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so she's trying to change out characters, and Ben, I mentioned this actually in last week's episode, which of course you guys weren't there for, but Ben, bless his soul, is having, although he did better this last game, I'll fully admit that, but Ben has just been having horrid luck with rolls. I mean, I feel so bad for him, but Scavelli was rolling better than Ben sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Ben, literally, there was one session where he had like one good roll, which I think was his initiative roll, and then he could not roll above a 5 the entire night.
How many nat 1s did you get today, Matt?
I got like 5 or 6.
Granted, you also got like free confirmed crits, but
Yeah. So it was a little bit balanced. But I also rolled a lot of numbers between 2 and 5 on the die. But today was one more just wildly swinging between landing crit and sucking out loud.
how he discovered even when playing a dragon, level 1 characters kind of suck.
Even when you're a 12-hit die, young adult, bronze dragon, you're still level 1 and you suck.
You are still cannon fodder.
Yep.
You're just particularly beefy cannon fodder.
So, but that is the, like I said, the Karma game's the only real gaming I've been doing since last episode, at least. And yeah, we're trying to kill off Miri's character. Ben, he wanted to make he didn't know if he wanted to try to change characters or just make a tweak to his character, and he's playing a monk. And there was a tweak that he wanted to, he thought about that actually I can do without really, like, it was an archetype. And the archetype doesn't even take into effect until 4th level anyway. And the 3rd. So I was just like, yeah, dude, if you want to go that route, be my guest. I mean, hopefully it'll, help expand his capabilities, because, I mean, role-playing wise, he does great. I mean, yeah, he's a great role player, but just, like, the dice just fucking hate him.
And low-level monks are, they're pretty spectacular.
Yeah, they don't get good for a while.
And that's the thing, because, like, I've had people that are, like, ban monks from their games because, like, they're too broken. And I'm like, yeah, at high
Ridiculous,
levels.
because they're not even close.
Well, at high levels, yeah, they can get broken, but they gotta live that long first.
Yeah.
At high levels, anything can get broken.
Yeah, that is also true.
Like, yeah, I mean, basically anything is broken at level.
Witness Hadassah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But
Like
also,
Kieran.
yeah, Kieran,
Othello.
Othello is the least broken because
He's not a cat.
Argue
He's not
that
a cat.
Anaya is the least broken just because I don't know how to use her properly.
Well, okay, yes and no, because Anaya, the only reason why Anaya is not really broken is because of that fact, because apparently I built her too well. Because in the process of building Anaya for you, we stumbled on some loopholes for bards that just, oh my god. Like,
Bards could be nasty. People underestimate them.
Oh, yeah.
underestimate bars.
Oh, yeah.
There's a story. I have been gaming with a guy recently who, me and the group that he's GMing for now is pretty much the first decent gaming group he's ever had, which is sad because he's an amazing GM, but all of his previous gaming groups have been full of those guys, like entire gaming groups full of those guys, capital TG. And apparently he has banned a certain bard archetype in Pathfinder from his games because a guy found out how to make this bard character be able to literally solo his entire game. Built it for somebody else, and then that person refused to play anything else but the really broken-ass bard that was built for her.
Oh, wow. What, okay, you gotta tell me, what the hell was the archetype?
It was apparently a gnomish sound striker bard.
A sound striker?
Pathfinder. Yeah.
Sound striker. I'm gonna have to look that one up, because I want to see this shit.
I don't know exactly what the build was, but this is the guy. This is that guy who goes on gaming forums to look up the most possibly broken combinations and uses them because it gets his rocks off. That guy.
Oh, jeez.
apparently with a penchant for playing spellcasters that has made one of the other guys in that game, like, despise spellcasters and swear never to ever play them, because he's worried that the act of playing a spellcaster will turn him into that guy.
Oh, jeez.
It's a mindset.
Well, they say absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
And
Honestly,
spellcasters have a hell of a lot of absolute power at times.
yeah, especially high level ones. But honestly, it's more of a mindset. Like, I mean, with a caster, you've got more tools at your disposal, which certainly helps a lot. But
You're also squishy.
you like, but in order to get the most out of your tool set, you really have to know how to use them and how to make them sync with your overall build, and that really takes a particular mindset to look for these sorts of combinations. I liken it to the people who like play certain kinds of decks in Magic, and they build these decks that are like ultra complicated, but if it gets going, it's a freaking juggernaut because they can sit there and like
Yeah.
get like 9 infinite mana and drop like the biggest creatures they can and all this other kind of crap. But it takes so long to get to that point.
Yeah. I actually, I went up against a kid at Mind Games, actually, at one point. We were doing a Chaos game, and he was using his, this guy had done, like, had won some of the junior Pro Tours. And his deck really got we'd almost got him down to like just a few life, but he survived long enough that he could actually start getting his deck going, and he would have been able to succeed. But I was playing one of my brother's red-black direct damage deck, and I had a fork in my hand, and so I was able to duplicate one of his spells and kill him before his deck could really go off, which everyone cheered me because once his deck actually went off, no one was surviving. So we were all going to die. So, but I actually just looked up the Sound Striker real quick. I could see where with the right build, this would be beast. The snippet says, they say that words can cut deeper than any blade, and the Sound Striker proves this true. Using magic and words as a weapon, he can focus his performances into a deadly delivery. And it basically changes 2 of the performances. So he gets Word Strike, which at 3rd level, you can spend 1 round of Bardic Performance as a standard action to direct a burst of sonically charged words to a creature or object. This performance deals 1d4 points of damage plus the Bard's level to any object, or half this damage to a living creature. Which at 3rd level, because like few things have sonic resistance, period. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of beast. But then the weird words. At 6th level, a Sound Striker can start a performance as a standard action, lashing out with 1 potent sound per Bard level, maximum 10, each sound affecting 1 target within 30 feet. These are ranged touch attacks. Each weird word deals 1d8 points of damage plus the Bard's charisma bonus, fortitude for half, and the Bard chooses whether it deals bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage for each word. I'm just like, really?
I mean, it's not bad.
No,
I think if you probably it would need some work to get some more out of it than that, but it's a good start.
Like I said, like what Miri said, with the right build, I could see this being broken as shit.
Apparently, this character was like doing gobs and gobs and gobs of damage based on like stuff that beefed charisma and added effects to magic and shit like that. And I don't even know, but he almost banned the archetype. One of my friends decided I want to play a bard in this game, and I've been looking at this archetype, and he was like, Sound Striker, and Cogs nearly had a heart attack. And then Cogs realized, wait, you're not that guy. We're going to make sure you don't become that guy.
A lot of stuff that people tend to declare broken is usually an issue with the player in question being an asshole.
Yeah.
And or the GM not understanding the rules enough to stop them.
Yeah, because there's it's one thing that you can break the rules. It's another thing for you to choose to do so. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. But some people have that opinion. Some people have it's like, oh, I'm going to use this loophole because they kept it in there, so I have to exploit it. It's like, no, you don't. But anyway.
If she didn't want to be raped, she shouldn't be wearing, that revealing clothing.
Boy,
If the rules didn't want to be raped, they shouldn't have holes in them.
Wow.
That is an amazing analogy there.
And podcast.
Wow. Because I even had a situation like that recently. I was starting up a game using D6, and I didn't restrict certain things that I normally did because I was wanting to let them have a little bit more freedom in building their characters. And one of the players decided to pick something that apparently I didn't put enough thought into when I wrote it into the core book and haven't tested since.
Oh, the shape-shifting thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as he picked that, I was like, oh god, that needs work.
What happened with that, by the way? Did you kick him out of the game?
No. I actually, I restatted the character to something that I would approve, and then he did what he actually usually does. He completely ditched that idea and came up with another one, which I agreed with. So the character is actually still kind of annoying, but it's an annoying that I can deal with and work. So
it's annoying that it's not breaking your game world.
Huh?
It's an annoying that's not breaking your game world.
Yeah. Well, it's game world nothing. It's breaking the whole fucking system. But yeah, it's something I can deal with. All of you have already kind of touched on gaming that you all have been doing recently. But is there anything else you guys want to elaborate on, or shall we move on?
Well, aside from the solo game I'm running for Matt with his little dragon paladin, we did manage to start an Exalted game with a couple friends of ours when they came up a few weeks ago. And that's really, really fun, and we need to find more time to game with it. It's amazing. It's a dragon-blooded game set in Luke Shy. The characters are fairly experienced. They're Dragon Bloods. They're pretty high-ranking officers. And, Lucas is playing, this character that's basically a sorcerer engineer is the title in the army that he holds. And so he works on these first age artifacts of extreme power. Because I have awesome players that I can trust to mess with crap like this and not break everything in sight.
Now, Luke Shy is.
Okay,
the name is familiar, but it's been a while since I played Exalted.
Yeah, Luke Shy is a particular city in the game world where there's an enclave of dragon blood. They're not associated with the realm, which is the major source of
the Crimson, was it the Crimson Empress or
Scarlet
Empress?
You're
Sorry.
in the ballpark.
Another shade of red.
Yeah, but basically the Luke Shy guys are a remnant of the pre-Empress regime that have held out against her taking over, and they're kind of in this sort of Cold War sort of situation.
They are the remains of the shogunate, and they have the majority of the first age goodies, basically, which is why they were able to resist the Scarlet Empress. Not get conquered like basically the rest of everywhere.
Yeah, because basically, it's two things. One, they have a ton of toys. Two, they have an intense concentration of dragon blood. Basically, 1 per 100 persons in the city, whereas in the realm it's like 1 per 1,000 or 10,000 people with dragon blood.
Oh, jeez.
they breed a lot of dragon blood.
Yeah.
And they're also all Luke Shy citizens join the army. So they have...
Oh, it's Sparta.
Yeah, essentially, down to the structure of a lot of them, because they actually have helix the way that Sparta did. Yeah, it's very militaristic. They have lots and lots of shiny toys that still work, where the Scarlet Empire does not. And actually, that's kind of where we're at right now with this game, because they've just found out that the Empire has broken out into civil war. And actually, the next session that we get to do, the players, instead of playing their regular characters, are going to basically play their characters' superiors on the council and kind of decide, okay, what do we do about this? Do we take a side? Do we stand back and let them burn? I mean, what is our stance here in relation to this?
Okay. Well, that definitely sounds interesting.
I'm having fun with my character because I actually am a pilot of one of the first stage dragon armors. It's essentially an Iron Man suit.
Right. I remember you telling me about those.
It is totally an Iron Man suit.
And it is spiffy as fuck.
Rebecca's character is my favorite, though.
Yeah.
She's playing a guy who's originally from the realm and basically got disowned by his family because he doesn't want to get married and reproduce. Because he wants to marry a boy, and they won't let him do that. They don't care who you fuck in the realm, but you do have to marry the opposite sex and have kids. So his family disowned him. Yeah, so his family disowned him entirely. And now he's in Luke Shy. And he's enjoying himself and having tea ceremonies and all this other stuff, and now the Civil War has come along to mess up his day.
Of course, yeah.
It's hilarious. She plays him so well.
Yeah.
It's like,
She's
really, guys?
really great.
She's really great with really strong characters. Like, she plays characters really well.
That's
She
awesome.
does well.
Yeah.
I have met too many people who play character sheets well.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
But for this character, we actually wrote a custom martial arts style.
Yes, tea room etiquette style.
Yeah.
That utilizes fans.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome!
Yes. And it also, like, harnesses the performance ability in various ways.
Yeah, you can, like, damage people with your words, basically.
Speaking of.
A lot like...
Yeah, I was about to say, weren't we just talking about that?
But for the flavor text for it, Matt actually wrote some haikus to go with each of the charms.
Oh, of course he did.
And the way that the style is built, it's got, like, 2 branches that build into the form, and then the form goes into 2 more final charms. And so the haiku uses the form charm line as the last line of both the first 2 haikus and the first line of the last haiku.
Because this is Matt, and this is what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does.
I'm opening the Word document. I can read the haiku.
No, that's okay.
Fantastic.
That's
we
okay.
also totally made an Avatar: The Last Airbender reference with it, because the line for the form charm is delectable tea.
Of course.
And I'm hearing it in Uncle Iroh's voice now.
Of course.
Of course you are.
Probably anyone that is listening to this is going to hear that. So
It was a lot of fun.
Sounds like it.
yeah,
And me, I've almost been doing too much gaming for my own good.
there is no such thing.
There is when you're getting 3 hours of sleep a night.
It's when it starts interfering with your life, like your ability to live, like sleeping and eating.
Gaming is life.
Gaming is love, gaming is life.
No, Byron, don't go all Jim Hadar with gaming. It is not your Ketracel White.
Yes, it is. Damn it. And I okay. Okay, I admittedly say that because currently I'm not doing a lot of gaming. I have actually been in situations where I was gaming almost every night of the week, and yeah, I will admit that got a little hard.
I was doing that for a while, and I dropped out a lot of those games. And then, now I'm doing only a few, like, official games, but I've been doing a lot of freeform games that I've been running kind of in a GM sort of way, and I think it's starting to take over my life. And I'm not sure I have an issue with that.
as you shouldn't, but I will fully admit though that Miri, you have definitely been earning your GM stripes recently, from what you've been telling me.
I enjoy GMing freeform games because I don't have the rules to get in the way of the story.
Well, even with a statted game,
I don't know.
I'm gonna hush because I unfortunately, although Liz and I are supposed to be working on dealing with that some, ever since my AOL chat room days, dating myself here, I do have most games have to have at least some level of rules to them for me to be comfortable in. Fate is usually about as rules light as I'm comfortable doing. Although Liz has found something else that we're wanting to kind of try, but so I mean, any good GM can still make sure that the story is core even in a static game. However, in helping Darcy with her GMing, I have definitely run across where she felt very limited because of the rules to what she wanted, because, well, in essence, Pathfinder really wasn't the rules system she needed to do her story in. She needed to do something else, but she got a bit outvoted, and the one system I really recommended to her, which, believe it or not, was not D6.
I don't believe you.
Actually, I told her for what she was really wanting to go for, she wanted to do Fate. However, what little experience she had with Fate was not good. So she was like, no, screw that. And I was just like, all right. So, of course, then I recommended D6. but back then, D6 was not ready enough. So and everyone else voted for Pathfinder, so she did it in Pathfinder. But but anyway.
Yeah, trying to force a game that doesn't fit the system is going to lead to disaster.
Yeah. It's never good, especially considering this was her first time GMing, and this is her story world and her story that she's trying to write. Basically, she's trying to write a novel, but she's using the game to help develop characters and to get because obviously the players think more outside of her box than she does. So it's come up with some interesting plot twists and whatnot, which is what she wanted. But yeah, the system was just not right for it. To be perfectly honest, I thought some of the players weren't necessarily right for it either, but
that certainly doesn't help.
Yeah, no, that didn't. But that's another story. So anyway. So if you guys don't mind, we'll move on from here unless anyone's got anything else.
Sorry.
No. Don't apologize.
We haven't been doing a lot of gaming because we went to New Orleans.
Yeah. I know we haven't started it yet, but I'm really excited about the upcoming, thinking karma games too.
Oh yeah, where my karma contribution is to play in something instead of run it. Heaven forbid.
Exactly. I mean, I know this is really out of character.
All right. Actually, I'm looking forward to that one too, and that reminds me, I still have to finish a proposal for you and shoot it to you. I almost had it done. I think I pretty much did have it done, and then like something else took my mind off of it, and I haven't come back to it since. So.
If you're proposing, it needs to be accompanied by a ring, Byron. I hope you know that.
You can buy one with
Our minds went exactly the same place.
I know
Sorry,
exactly
Matt,
the man
Matt's
to
not-
make you one too.
Sorry, Matt's not quite my type.
I
Too much testosterone.
No.
Sorry. As much as there have been jokes all throughout my fucking life, if I swung that way, no.
Dude, I completely understand both your comment about the jokes being made at your expense and the vehemence with which you deny them.
Yeah. Go to 2 years of military boarding school. I mean, hell, I think a couple of weeks ago on this podcast, Howard and I were even joking of the fact that we think sometimes our wives question.
well, Matt got similar jokes due to hanging out with the theater kids in college.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course I was the star drama kid at RMA too, so.
No, with you and Howard, it's just a bromance. It's guy love.
It's like Matt and Jeremy.
Or was it Nick and Kelly?
Yes. Yes, that was a total bromance.
I don't know. There was a couple times they got playing gay chicken. But I'm not entirely sure they were joking.
Well, they said that they couldn't really play.
They couldn't because
gay chicken with each
neither
other.
of them would back out. That would be the problem.
Yeah.
You gotta love it when players won't play a certain character type because they might take it too far.
Yep.
So. All right, so I actually did have a topic, although don't get me wrong, I'm loving bullshit with you guys because it's still great. But I actually did have a topic. Actually, Howard recommended it to me before we, when I called him up to see what the heck was going on and to find out all the crap that he's having to deal with recently. He's a very busy guy. And it was actually interesting that he recommended it because something along these lines was actually happening as well. He recommended doing kind of the end of an era, and it's well timed that he recommended that because there was a gaming store. Pardon me. There was a gaming store in the Northern Virginia area, the Game Parlor, which was one of my main. Although it was definitely a drive and a half to get from AIW to Game Parlor, we still did it quite often. It was a big ass. I mean, we're talking like three. Was it 3 or 4? I think it was 3 locations in a strip mall, sized gaming store that had been around for ages, and they always carried like. Pardon me. They always carried. I mean, they had a lot of merchandise to begin with. They also then had a bunch of tables open for free play. They even had like a private room that you could check out. At least initially there wasn't any charge. There you just had to sign that you wanted it for this time slot. And then they had a couple of computers set up even, so you could do like network games and whatnot. And they had.
Wow, that's pretty impressive because this was like back in the day.
Yeah. So
having
talking.
was a big deal.
When I was a regular there, we're talking early 2000s. And as from what I remember hearing, they had started up like back in early 90s. Now, granted, I mean obviously they started with one slot and slowly expanded, but and they always had a lot of like I actually got some of my Star Wars D6 books from there. And this, of course, was after D6 was out of print. I even actually remember the 3 core books for the new D6 stuff, the D6 Fantasy, Adventure, and Space. I picked up all 3 at Game Parlor.
Dang.
Yeah. So I even dated a girl that had gotten a job there for a little bit. I one of the managers there for a while. So I've got some history with this place.
Yeah.
Um,
I know why you dated that girl.
Yeah, and of course I had all this history before I went down to North Carolina and then had mind games. So, but yeah, I saw someone posted on Facebook that they're finally closing the doors permanently, and I was, although reading the article, I could see why it was happening, because especially in this day and age with the internet and Amazon and all that.
Drive-through RPG.
Yeah, but PDFs and drive-through RPG and whatnot. It's hard doing a brick and mortar store to begin with, unless you're one of the big chains. But to do a brick and mortar gaming store is hard. I had seen on the post that apparently since I had stopped going there because I moved, they had to like start charging for the table space when using it and do stuff just to try to get more money because they weren't making a lot of money out of some of the gaming stock that they had and all this, that, and the other. So like, it's sad, but and it was definitely good memories, but I can definitely kind of understand reading the article, and I'll post it up when I post up the episode. I can definitely understand why they're finally, although I mean they're claiming the owners are claiming that they're retiring, but I can understand how it was getting harder and harder for them to keep the doors open, because they even like sorry, they even opened up a branch, because like they're located in Chantilly, Virginia, not too far away from Dulles Airport. In fact, that's how we got there, because when we were up in Arlington, if you go down 66 a little, there's a kind of a well, there's a toll road that goes in and around like the Reston, Herndon, Chantilly area, but there's a way to bypass the tolls if you went, but it had no exits. It went literally straight from 66 to Dulles Airport. So what we would do is we'd take that, go to Dulles Airport, go through the passenger pickup line, and then
turn around,
and then just keep going, and then get into the local roads, and then Chantilly was right there, and Gate Parlor was right there, and then we just take that way going back. So because
I just read an article about the worst interstate in the entire country.
What was that?
I think I just read an article about how that's like the worst interstate in the entire country.
66? Yeah, I saw something on that on Facebook too. I'm not surprised. I'm really not. So, but yeah, I mean, I mean, even taking that way, it was still a good 30-minute drive, give or take. And I'd do it at the drop of a hat. I'd do it gladly. I even did some of my RPG club meetings there for Rho Pi, or not for Rho Pi, for AIW. Rho Pi.
Hadn't been around that long.
No, we're only on season 6. I'm talking like 10, 15 years ago. But so it was very sad to hear that they were closing. Again, like I said, I can kind of understand it, but it's still sad to hear, and I still had good memories. And part of the reason also why Howard recommended an end of an era is also because hopefully by next episode, the Epic game will finally have been brought to a close. And pretty much that's, yeah. So, and
is that the end of an era or an end of an error?
Era. Era.
Puns.
Epic game isn't an error. Epic game is like...
It's about to say.
Epic game, I mean, it really like started my actual serious gaming life. And I mean, it introduced me to a lot of really good people, so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're
okay.
You're gonna freaking make me cry here.
And I was just going to insert some sort of self-deprecating humor.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to make an innuendo.
Admittedly, those are my two modes: innuendos or self-deprecation. I mean, that's pretty much all I got.
So
great
puns.
And puns. All the puns. Bad puns.
The worse, the better.
I have to be married to this man.
Hey, that means you said yes.
That was all you.
So, but yeah, it's really kind of interesting with Epic Game, because on the one hand, I am ready to bring it to a close. I am ready to move on to other stuff. It has definitely been an epic game. And that's, I've said this before and I'll say it again, that is a good chunk of it because of you guys. For those listening, all three of these people are in the epic game.
Hi.
I'm ready to retire my character, though.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to run some fucking Exalted. It's about friggin' time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've been wanting to run Exalted for so long.
But
It's been too long since I ran it.
And I've actually been kind of wanting to play Exalted too, so I'm happy to let someone else sit behind the screen for a little bit. No, I said a little bit, because you can't keep me from behind the screen for long. But
You think you're gonna get it back?
huh?
I
What was that?
said, you think you're gonna get it back?
I know I'll get it back eventually. There ain't a question about that.
Okay.
But
2 GMs enter, 1 GM leaves. Thunderdome.
I will also admit that I am nervous as hell to bring it to a close. Partially because the game has been so good. That's kind of like, how do you end it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got the ending planned. It is supposed to be an epic fight with the final boss, but
Or like freaking one shot the final boss. We're all good.
Or get TPK'd by the final boss.
Yeah, both of those things are definitely top of my list of worries. It's either I'm going to make this guy too fucking strong because I know how badass you guys are, and then he's just going to wipe the floor with you all, and then the world's going to end, or I'm going to, have weakened him too much, and then you all are just going to be like, that's it?
See, so
freaking
that-
man here.
at that point,
I'll
how
be disappointed
one
in
shots the
Resolver.
final boss. See, you make two versions of the final boss. You make the really tough version, and you make the sort of like the one that you think is okay. And then if Howard one shots the final boss, he then goes into like Final Fantasy. This wasn't even my final form bullshit, and
Oh, yeah.
continue the fight.
Yeah.
Well,
Freaking Majin Buu on that bad boy.
I hope to actually have, I have a game plan, and I've got things I'm hoping ready. And usually I'm good about adjusting things in the middle of the fight to be able to.
Which you may have to do.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting I'm going to have to tweak somehow. But it's still that whole, I'm nervous that it's not going to be as good or as fulfilling of an ending for you guys as the rest of the game has been. And yeah, I'm damn near anxiety attack about this every time I think about it, because like, on the one hand, if we was to keep the game going, I'd run the risk of either A, running it into the ground,
Right.
or B, just having to try to top myself. I'd turn into DBZ. I have to bring in some next big, villain down because you all are wiping the floor with the old one.
Right, yeah, and it gets to an absurd point.
Yeah, but then it's just also just the simple fact of,
It needs to be
You wanted something
satisfying.
that
It
would
needs to be a
end.
satisfying conclusion to
Yeah.
the narrative.
Well, and as far as satisfying goes, don't stress yourself out too much about the battle part.
Yeah, I'm not in
it. The satisfaction is going to come when we epilogue the game.
I'm not in it for the combat. I'm in it for the cutscenes.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, basically. When the curtains roll, the curtains close and the credits roll, and we're seeing flashes of the future with Othello and Ella's kids and all this other stuff. That's when we're gonna be like, yes, this was what we were waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to, we're not going to tell stories about this game for years to come because, Kieran rolled XD6 against the dragon. We're going to be talking about we're going to be talking about the dustpan. We're going to be talking about...
Fuck the dustpan! God, I'd almost forgotten about the...
Never let this forget about the dustpan.
We're gonna be talking about the dustpan. We're gonna be talking about the time that, Kieran hit the bad guy hard enough he disappeared. We're gonna be talking about the moments. We're gonna be talking about Anaya's jeweled rose and the moment that Othello and Ella, laid eyes on each other and were like, that one.
Oh, we're gonna make a fluffy.
Hey, baby.
We're gonna be talking about the Kieran signal. And,
Yes.
nobody cares that the Kieran signal is made with X spell from page whatever of book such and such. It's not about the mechanics for us. Or at least for me. Might be about the mechanics for Howard. Or Allison or Matt.
Hell no.
No.
It's not for Howard. Howard is all about that story.
I will say that I do disagree slightly in that having a memorable final boss fight against the demon dragon that we've been setting up for the entire time, I think, is utterly paramount.
Yeah.
So if it's like you said, if it's too easy or if it's too hard, I see exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. Well, with what Miri was saying, it is right. When it really gets boiled down to, you're right. It is the story that you guys are going to remember. However, that final fight is going to flavor that story a little in everyone's minds.
That is true.
And that's what I'm worried about, because I've been in situations where it's been like, oh, this is such an epic thing, and then oh, final boss, what the fuck was that? And it did color, because actually the 4th edition game that I was in, that Chris ran, oh my god, I mean that was great game, sucktacular system, great game. That was definitely one of those where the mechanics I could care less about because the system sucked, in my opinion. But he pulled such a twist on us at the end that, apparently, it wasn't quite so we were helping the bad guys get to where they were, but I was eating what the bad guys were apparently spoon feeding us so much that it was such a twist at the end as to find out who the real bad guy was, that I was just like, holy fucking shit. And then literally our entire world is crumbling around us, and I'm just like, I helped! What the fuck? And Miri, you're right. It didn't matter as to what my real stats were or anything, because it was my character in the story. But
You kind of pulled that one on Matt, too.
but I've also been in a game where it was really good build up, and then sucktacular ending.
Yeah.
And that really did sour it for me. I mean, just imagine if you were, reading The Hobbit, and then, Bilbo, picked up some random thing in the Horde, threw it at Smaug, and killed him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the fight does definitely have narrative impact, but
They're
I
very good
think
at throwing things.
I think you should be stressing a little bit less about the numbers and a little bit more about...
Well, and see, also, I've got the story. Like I said, I know story-wise how I'm going to end it. I'm not worried about the story. So all the numbers are all I got left to worry about, which is why I'm stressing about them so much.
Well,
But,
I guess our point is that the numbers don't have to be set in stone. You can let the battle go to a point where it has been sufficiently, epic narrative. Rule of cool, basically. Okay, that was cool enough to end the fight.
yeah. Okay.
Or, okay, this is not really enough yet, even though you've technically done enough damage to kill him. He's still up.
Yeah, and I'm going to.
You need the finishing move.
I am gonna.
Such are the numbers.
Yeah, so
So Howard does tend to pull the finishing move for his first move.
Oh, don't worry, I have
what
that.
He does.
I have that in hand.
Yeah, well, you said that with the necromancer too.
Yes, but I learned my lesson well.
That is good. GMing, it's all about improvement.
And improvisation.
Improv.
So. Right. What I'm also worried about is the depression afterwards, because it's going to happen. And actually, I know Matt and Allison will definitely feel me on this one. Because the couple of times I was in a play, I was in on theater, on stage, plays, musicals, whatever.
That thing that you do.
Yeah, even before going to RMA and doing the drama group there, I was in 2 local productions. It was called the Pied Piper Theater. It's in Manassas. That my dad was the music director for, and so I did. We did a rendition of Sleeping Beauty, and then we did a rendition of Narnia. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And it was so much build up to Hell Week, which is the week before you actually perform, and we did 4 performances. We did Saturday and Sunday one week, and then Saturday, Sunday the next week. And then once you're actually like doing the performances, it's like, yeah, this is awesome, we're great, woohoo! And then the rap party, it's just like everything crashes because it's like that adrenaline rush, and then the adrenaline cuts.
Yeah.
And then
down.
and you're just like, oh fuck, I've put so much of my time and effort and life into this, and it's over. I am not looking forward to that depression.
It's like the feeling after you come home from con.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when you work a con, too, because you'd be surprised at how long 3 days can feel when you're actually working a con. Because it's like, okay, day 1, I'm learning the hotel. Day 2, I've got this, nailed. Day 3, wait, fuck, it's over. So, I'm not looking forward to that either. But I'm hoping that, there'll be a nice, it's over. Okay, now Allison's Exalted Game. Let's do this. That's what I'm hoping.
Hopefully. And, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. I think the biggest thing about the end of an era, bringing, the topic into it, is that there's always another one that comes after. I mean,
hopefully.
I'm gonna be a word nerd here for a moment. The word that we get the word apocalypse from, apocalypse being the end of an age, actually implied that there was going to be something that came next. So, end of an era, start of a new one. That's what we're doing, I think. I don't know. I'm talking too much. You can...
No, not at all, actually.
Miri, stop it.
I'm actually hoping you're right.
Don't think that you're talking too much. You're saying exactly enough.
Yep.
Okay.
I liken it more to the feeling like after a vacation. Although maybe not so much this last one, because I was like not ready to go home yet. Matt was.
Yeah, that's what I was
usually.
Most vacations I have, I'm like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah, usually though, when we've been somewhere for a while and been on vacation and all this, we're like, okay, I'm tired. I've eaten too much delicious stuff. I've spent too much money. I'm over it. I'm done. I'm ready to go home and sleep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So even though, even when I'm like that though, I'm like, but I don't want to go to work. But
that's where I was at too.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I spent the whole 5 nights like not sleeping more than 5 or 6 hours. Anyways.
Well, I mean,
and so like I'm functioning. I was functioning fine on vacation, but I was like, I know I'm gonna feel like hell the minute we get home.
Yeah,
and I did, and I have.
And I'll fully admit there's something about that feeling of okay, we're back home. Mm-hmm. Because like actually I remember the Gen Con. Pardon me. I remember Gen Con that required me to do Karma Games for all you all. That ride back home, as great as it was, I mean there was obviously a lot of stressors. More so than usual because of the financial situation, but I remember it felt really good to be getting in the car and heading back home And it felt really good when we finally did get home, because we were like, finally we're back. But then, of course, the feeling of, oh shit, now I gotta go to work tomorrow. Suck balls, but...
I'd say I didn't have that, but I still like my job.
Yeah, I was about to say, part of that I will fully admit is because of the fact I'm not really happy with my job right now, and I am trying to do something about it. I actually did put in an internal application for another position that I've actually tried for a couple of times, and I got an email back that they're going to start setting up interviews next week, so I'm hoping to hear something. But
Well, good luck.
Yeah.
Break a leg.
Thank you.
What's that?
And may all your dreams come true.
So what?
Well, that's what we used to say at Mars Hill when we would start a show. We would put all our hands in the middle and go break a leg, bust a nut, may all your dreams come true. And then we would count 1, 2, 3 and yell penis at the top of our lungs.
On the one hand, I'm like, WTF. On the other hand, I'm like, wait, this is a drama group. This is not surprising. It's really not.
Fairly tame, actually.
Really? I mean...
Oh, no, I know. That's why I'm saying. On the one hand, I'm not surprised.
What is it with performance artists? Because, like, theater kids, and then one of my friends was a band kid, and they're exactly like, they have the same sort of attitude. And
It's because it's what you do to deal with the stress.
Yeah. It was actually kind of interesting because my job normally entails, we handle the registrations for the client for their events. And Thursday our building's internet died, which means, of course, I literally could not do anything for like the last, 2 hours of work. But I called, our main point of contact, who was actually on site down in Florida for an event Friday. And this was Thursday night, so they were getting ready for the event. And I mentioned that I used to, volunteer with a convention. And she was like, oh, which one? And I was like, Anime USA. And she had actually heard about it from, she lived up in the Boston area and had actually heard about it from up there from a couple of different circles. And it's also interesting that our client's biggest event of the year is in the same hotel that AUSA has been in for the past couple of years. So I was just like, night before, I know how it is getting ready for an event. And she and I actually kind of joked about, how similar, some of the stuff still is. But I completely forgot where the fuck I was going with that. So, stressor. But yeah, it's it's interesting because, for con goers or, even for theater, for the audience, you don't see what happens behind the curtains. And it is chaos back there. And it is stressful as hell because you're...
A lot of chaos and a lot of naked people.
Well, okay, in the plays I was in, it wasn't a lot of that. But, because we were younger. But I could still see where that happens. But it's very stressful because you are trying to put on... Actually, it's very similar to being a GM as well. You're trying to put on a good story or a good show for the people. And I remember seeing the pictures on Facebook where it's a boat coming up on an iceberg, and there's just a little bit of the iceberg on top of the water, and then it shows you how big the iceberg is under the water. It's very similar to GMing, and also for doing a con or doing a play is, you only see a little bit of what's really going on behind the curtain. And so I can understand where, even what you all were saying you all did in Mars Hill being tame because, but as a de-stressor, because we had similar shit even in our theater groups before. But anyway, we're getting, that was
off topic.
Well, this is Rho Pi. We do that all the time, but got to rein it back in a little.
I just wish that I actually had the opportunity to finish a game.
Yeah, and
not been checked off my bucket list yet.
Well,
You'll get there.
Yeah, you will. I'll even fully admit it took me forever before I did, Miri. So I think the first game I actually fully brought to an intentional close was at AIW. So we're already talking, let's see, a year and a half at RMA, and then about 2 years before AIW and then about a good 2 years at AIW before I actually brought a game to a close. So,
I successfully closed my very first game.
fuck you! Rub it in, you dick.
To be fair though, and this actually really illustrates the importance of a good conclusion. A later game that I ran that I had to rush the conclusion, it ended, and it ended fairly well, but it did also kind of taper off slightly unsatisfyingly.
Yeah, actually, the Star Wars game I just ended, the Quest of the Jedi, the one, I got a little help with you with the one poem. Remember?
Vaguely.
Okay, I remember you like I had a poem was kind of the poem is kind of the basis of what they're trying to do in the campaign, and it was meant to be a quick, relatively quick game. It went on for a lot longer than I had intended because of players segueing and red herrings and that I didn't intend and whatnot. But anyway, I remember after you read it, you were like, "I'd really like to be in this game." I was like, "Oh, I might run it again." I did bring that one to a close, and though it was a finite close, afterwards it was not as good of a close as I would have liked, partially because I had to rush it too. So,
yeah. The one that I'm thinking of was my Dynasty Warriors game that was
oh really?
the Exalted Dragon Blood game.
We basically ran out of time.
Because we were getting ready to move, and so we just would not have been able to continue. And I was close to the end, but there was still like one major campaign to do, which would have taken probably 3 to 5 sessions, and we just didn't have it.
Couldn't move it online.
This is not a game that you want to play online.
No, just
Okay.
the kind of
I mean, we're going to do Exalted online, coming up here, but it's really a game that works better in person.
Okay, I fully understand that. I was just curious as to if that was an option or not, and apparently it wasn't. That's fine.
It was not. This one in particular was not especially. But anyway, so they just had a fairly large set piece battle that I'd been planning since very early on, and like Allison's character had faced down her rival, and
Well, I had died practically.
well, you faced her, just not successfully.
I lost.
You did, and
Aw.
also, Rob's character had a really big moment where he lost his NPC former lover.
Killed his NPC former lover.
Yeah. And I've told this story several times, but I'm still just utterly proud of how that all played out because it was brilliant. But yeah, he'd been forced to kill his own former lover in a duel, and
He needed a moment after that.
yeah. And there were a couple other moments kind of like that in that battle. So, I mean, it was like a really big deal.
Sounds like if you had continued it on, though, that would have been hard to top.
It would have been hard, but I think I could have done it.
Okay. That's good, too. I'm just saying, though, that definitely sounds like that would have been a challenge to top it, to end, but continue.
But we ended it Shakespeare style instead with a bunch of weddings.
Yeah. Basically, their legion was pulled from the front lines to go back to the home front for R&R because they've been doing the bulk of the fighting for, over almost a year. And basically, the other legions got an opportunity to show their stuff
Right.
off screen, while the main characters were back on the home front, recharging their batteries, recouping from this, just massive throwdown. And while that was happening, as I said, there were a couple weddings. When news came back from the front that the other legions had succeeded, it was time for the big coronation, and so it was kind of like that. It was kind of an extended. It was kind of like that last chapter of The Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
The epilogue, essentially.
Yeah.
way.
Like I said, I'm happy with an epilogue. That's me.
I think that that sounds like it was fairly decent. It's too bad that you never got to run that campaign you wanted, though. The final battle thing.
Yeah. It's all good.
Another time.
Like I said, I mean, it left on a little bit of an unsatisfying note because the final battle would have been against Namon, daughter of the Empress herself, and probably the person with the strongest claim to the throne, and also a gigantic demon summoning Mega-Bitch. So it wouldn't have had as much, I guess, personal relevance to the characters, but it would have been a hell of a throwdown because you're facing enemy mortal legions with their demons.
Fun.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. Although, I say that, and there's probably going to be demons involved in the Luke Shaw game.
Yeah, well.
Because it's the Civil War, and Namon has the best claim. And probably also the most power to enforce it.
There is nothing wrong with bringing demons into it.
Says the guy running a game about demon dragons.
Well, exactly.
Just putting out it might not be an unbiased opinion. I, however, personally do not see any issues with bringing demons into things either, and I have never gotten the chance to use demons in a game of mine yet.
I always say yet. And don't worry, you will, like I said, Miri, you will get your chance to actually bring a full game to a close. Like I said, for me it took years. But... I
have really high hopes for the Aftergate game. Just because Emmy is so invested in the setting, and you're super excited about your character, and, I mean, Cogs is a phenomenal role player, and so I have really high hopes for that game.
Uh-oh.
For the audience, you first.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna, give a little bit of, I've been working on this setting for Pathfinder with, all these original races and stuff, and, I'm going to start, hopefully, soon-ish. I have a few mechanical things. I have to finish some race write-ups and stuff, but Byron's gonna be in that game along with my friend Emmy and another person that I've been gaming with a lot lately, and I'm really excited for it.
Would this be a bad time to say I'm not quite as excited about my character as I used to be?
Hey, if you want to change your character, go ahead.
In all honesty, I have actually kind of thought of that, but because I haven't come up with a replacement yet, I'm still dedicated to the initial character idea.
Well, hey, I mean, again, work with me. I'll figure something out.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually like with Matt, because there's a game Matt's starting up. Where I have a different character idea that he's willing to work with me with. Same with you, Miri, and this character. So I almost feel kind of bad because you're willing to work with me on actually getting this character idea, and I was really super excited about it before, and now I'm not. I still kind of am, just not quite as much, and I feel kind of bad.
Okay, that happens.
Yeah.
That happens. I mean, I have been there. I have been like, this is such an amazing character, blah, 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 and then 3 days later it's like...
Nope, over it.
Well,
okay.
I guess it would also be better for me to do, to if I'm going to lose interest before the game even starts.
Yes.
That would be preferable.
Yeah, because I mean, there was a time I had this one character, I was really super psyched about it, and I was like, okay, I want to get to this point, and a friend of mine at AIW was running me in it, and I got to that point, and I was just like, okay, I'm done, He's like, wait, what? I'm like, I'm done. I have no more drive for the character whatsoever. He's like, are you kidding? I'm like, no, I got to the point I wanted to get to. I was like, I am now eligible for this one prestige class I wanted to go for. I'm done. He was just like, really? I was like, yeah, I gotta come up with something else now.
You're just you just wanted to be eligible for the class. You didn't even want to do the class.
Yeah, well, yeah. Apparently, I wanted to get to the class, and like I leveled up, and I got the first level of the prestige class. And I'm like, I'm done.
It's interesting because I'm playing this game, and I'm really super in love with my character, but because the world that the GM has built is so amazing, every time I turn around, I have another character idea for it, and it's like, I only get one. I picked it. I picked that one, and I love this character, but it's like, there are things about this world that I really want to explore, but since I already have my character...
Yeah. And of course, I've always got, faint little character ideas whispering around in my head all the time, but, sometimes I can't tap any of those because they wouldn't fit with the world, or I'm sitting there, I'm like, really? I'm going to really try to do that in a fantasy setting? Okay, I know I can do it, but that doesn't mean I should, so, move that aside.
Hey, if you want to change your character idea, we could always use a dedicated beat face. I was going to use my...
Really? You had to tell me that? You had to tell... Oh, shit. All right. We might have to after this.
Because we have, with your idea, we have your current character idea, which I believe was a witch.
Yes. Actually a rogue witch, but yes.
A rogue witch combination multi-class. We have Emmy, who's thinking of going gunslinger, which is interesting because I haven't run any of those or done much with the class. I've looked at it, and it's
neither have I. So that's going to be new for me too.
And Cogs is playing one of the new occult classes from the new occult source book.
Oh, jeez.
Basically, Pathfinder took Dreamscarred Press's psionic system, went, that's kind of a good idea, and then actually made a separate branch of magic out of it, and did a lot with the flavor, kind of.
Yeah, it deals a lot with like spirits and stuff, doesn't it?
Yes, it's actually psychic. It's all psychic.
Okay.
And Cogs is playing a character that is very much driven by their character story, and
yeah, see, I'm also afraid. That's also another thing I'm kind of afraid of with my character. My character is one of those, like, I have a specific goal in mind, and it's not that far ahead. So I'm almost kind of afraid that, I'm going to play in your game, and then I'm going to be like, okay, I'm done. And I'm a little afraid with that with Matt's game too, but at least I've got, at least with with my character for Matt's game that's got the goal, I do have a fallback goal that I can be like, once I achieve the main one, I still got the other goal. The other character, I don't.
There we go.
My character for Matt's game sorry, go on.
You first.
No, go ahead.
You first.
Well, my character for Matt's game has a goal, but it's not one she's likely to achieve anytime in the game. So she's good.
Well, yeah, depending on how Matt works it out with me, I may never actually achieve the goal either, but...
I was gonna say, hopefully I can invest the players and the characters enough in the story of what I'm doing, because this is one of the first games that I've run where I actually have a solid, concrete idea of where I'm going with the game, because I usually run fairly episodic games and try and sort of find a story within that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no.
But this is one of the first games where I'm like, I have a starting point and I have what I think is an ending point. I'm not entirely sure about anything that's going to happen in the middle.
And that is totally fine.
That's how I tend to do. I kind of plan a general idea and then I run by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, it's
That's what I do.
So long as you have checkpoints, Miri, where it's like, okay, this is where you're beginning, this is where I want you to end, these are at least a few things you all are going to need to do to be able to get to the end. How you get to those checkpoints is entirely up to you all. So long as you have that, you will be fine.
Yeah. I'm also sort of, running into an issue because the person that I usually go to for advice on story checkpoints is you. And the other person that I usually go to for advice on story checkpoints, especially for this particular world because she sort of helped me create it, is Emmy.
Well,
And then my backup plan for GMing and mechanics and building mechanical stuff in Pathfinder is Cogs.
and of course he's the third person in the game.
And
Well, I would say I can do all of those things.
Yeah, as I say, Matt and Allison both, and Howard, although granted he's busy right at the moment, but yeah, Howard is usually also a good resource for that. And at least for me, I try very much not to metagame. So I usually have you could still use me for at least some plot stuff. Although if you're really wanting to be a surprise, yeah, obviously don't use me. But you can still use me for at least some stuff. So I mean, you've got options, but yeah, if it is sometimes frustrating when your go-to people are the ones actually in the game.
yeah, but I've dragged us off topic again.
Oh well, that's
not really.
Yes and no, because okay, here I'll tie it all together.
Okay.
You had brought up how, with the end of an era, there is usually another one beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We have talked about how I am bringing things to a close, and we've talked about how you and Allison are and even Matt to an extent, are going to be starting things up almost in its place. And I'm involved in all of that, and I'm very happy. Because I'm GMing!
The era of Byron GMing. For now.
That era will never sleep. But
the current age of Byron as GM is coming to a close, and a new age of Byron as a player is beginning to emerge.
Exactly. Because, I mean, I'm still running a game in person here, and I'm still running, your Karma game. Because, like I said, it's hard to keep me from behind the screen for long. But I definitely am looking forward to actually being on the other side of the screen for a while, because yeah, that just hasn't happened enough, in my opinion.
I'm also you were talking about how you were afraid of not living up to expectations with the ending of Epic Game, and that's actually one of my biggest problems as a GM, because I have mentioned it when I've been on this podcast before, but my parents are both gamers, and they're both GMs, and my dad is actually one of the best GMs that I have ever met. And he actually, his crowning achievement in his life is he ran a campaign that went for 5 years, and that he successfully brought to a close. And
as much as I am envious of that, and of Howard, because he's done one for 10. Granted, it wasn't consecutively 10 years. I mean, there were some big gaps there where things weren't happening. As much as I am envious of that, after having done Epic Game, and the couple of times I've done full Star Wars games, in particular the Sith Council game, and have brought those games successfully to closes, I don't think I could do one for that long. I do not have the attention span.
It was a fantasy hero game. He has also run several successful games that have also successfully ended. I don't know how long they lasted. He used to do... Oh god, I always get the name of the role-playing game system mixed up with the very similar sounding shitty MMO. One is RuneScape and one is RuneQuest, and I don't remember which one is which.
RuneScape is the MMO.
RuneScape is the MMO. So RuneQuest, which is also known as the Chaosium system. My dad ran that back before it was Chaosium system for years, and the stories that have come out of that are really amazing, and I've always kind of had this anxiety where GMing is actually like the one thing that I have always wanted to do, because of the fact that my parents were both gamers. My dad has been in the hobby for as long as it's existed. So talking about the end of an era, I always feel really pressured to kind of live up to that. And I think it's one of the problems that I have as a GM is because I'm always down on myself for not being as good as I could be. And I'm really nervous about starting up these games that I'm running because what if I mess up?
Well, and you know what?
You're going to.
Yeah. I was going to be a little gentler about that.
No, that's a good point. Own it now and let it go.
Make your peace with it that you are going to screw up at some point royally.
Yeah.
You are going to look at something wrong and make the wrong judgment call on how a mechanic should work, and things are going to implode or explode spectacularly. And sometimes in a good way. Like you might do something like that and it'll make the story better. Or it could cause.
And you're a lucky motherfucker.
Yeah.
Or everybody's like, yeah, fuck this game. I'm over it.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out where to go from there. Like for example, you could look at the mechanics of a particular spell and misread it, and then when your player tries to use this spell in combat, you erect a defense that shouldn't work, and in the process blow that player's character nearly to smithereens. And then come back to it like a year later and realize, holy shit, I totally misread that.
Well, not only the player that cast the spell, but another player that was near in the blast radius.
What happened?
Okay.
That.
That's what happened, really.
Matt, this was Matt's first, well, actually, it was Liz and mine's first Exalted game, and it was Matt's first time really GMing with us, and I think you said overall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll at least give you that, jerk. But so I was playing a shaman spellcaster in Exalted. We were playing Lunars, and I had this one spell. It was Flaming Raptor, was it?
Flight of the Brilliant Raptor.
Yeah. So, and basically, it's the Exalted Fireball.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much, because it is this flying bird leaps from my hands, shoots out to a distance, and it explodes in a large ball flame.
Yep.
So, of course, Matt made some misjudgments with the NPC party that we were going up against, as it was.
I did go a little too well.
Yeah, hang on. Sorry, hacking up a lung. So I cast this spell, and of course this is like my main. Well, this is like one of two main attack spells, and this is the one that does the most damage to as much, to as much of an area as I can. I had another one that was like, the obsidian butterflies, which is basically I made a cloud of little shards of obsidian that fluttered around everywhere and sliced things up.
Yeah, it's a huge area, but the damage wasn't quite as high.
And I refused to use the flying guillotine. Because
right.
Matt was just like, yeah, this pretty much everyone takes that. And I was like, then I won't. And he was like, all right. So I cast the spell, and then he has one of these fuckers we're up against reflect it back at me. And so it hits me damn near blowing my ass to Kingdom Come, but then also hit Liz's character.
Yep.
And of course, my character, now, granted, I didn't even realize that he had screwed up either. I was just like, really, Matt? Really? You jerk. And of course, in character-wise, I played it up very well. Like, my character almost gave up spellcasting at that point, because at that point, he was just like, I just hurt myself. I just hurt one of my comrades. I can't fucking do this. It's like, I'm making a horrible spellcaster.
It was a really cool character moment.
Yeah, it was. But then a year later, this fool comes to me and informs me that he shouldn't have even been able to have done that with the particular spell I used. In which case, I wanted to slug him one.
Because the spell is listed as unblockable. The technique that the enemy used to reflect it involves a parry roll or a block roll. So it was. You couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And I had originally determined it being undodgeable.
Matt, you're really breaking up right at the moment.
Hello?
Yeah. I don't know why, but you are. So
I don't either.
okay. Well, you're sounding good now. So
Okay. Yeah, I originally just read it as undodgeable, not unblockable. And the defense was a block-based defense, which should not have applied.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I felt awful. I still feel bad about it, honestly, like, because I screwed up. I screwed up big time. And almost killed 2 characters through massive skin error.
yeah, but and it is a good example of the fact that you know, Miri, you are going to screw up. I mean, as you know, as good of a GM as I am, and again, not tooting my own horn because I've got people constantly telling me this. You know, I wasn't always this way. The games I started running at like RMA, dear Lord, I'm like, how did these people even continue letting me be behind the screen when I first started? Dear God.
Was it one of those situations where nobody else wanted to run it?
So what?
Was it one of those situations where nobody else wanted to run it?
Yeah, pretty much. until I trained up Howard. And then,
well, there's your problem.
partially. Although I'm glad it was, because again, it helped me train up. Until I got Howard trained up enough that he and I can go, you know, switch back and forth.
How do you get past a screw up like that?
I'm so sorry.
Grappling can help. No. In all honesty, though, it depends because there's a couple ways of doing it.
And it does depend on the screw up in question too.
Well, it also depends on yourself and the players and the game. I mean, there's a lot of factors, but yeah, it depends on just how you're screwing up. Because like, actually, in all honesty, I screw up all the time when I'm GMing, even to this day. But I'm very good at just rolling with it. I'm like, okay, I really shouldn't have been doing it that way, but screw it. That's the way I've been doing it, and that's the way I'm going to do it because, well, whatever.
Or if you keep it consistent within one campaign and then make a change later, that's one way to do it.
At that point, it's not a screw up; it's a house rule.
Yeah. And if you realize, okay, maybe it should work that way, but it kind of still works-ish, yeah. But like if it breaks the game screw up, obviously you have to change it like immediately.
Yeah. So, you know, you can retcon a little, you can, you know, be like, okay, let's just say it went this way instead of that way and just move on. It really depends. But, and even if, although I'm usually of the mind of trying to, you know, try to clear up a screw up quickly so I can move on. Even if you have to be like, all right, guys, we need to stop. You know, give me 5 to 10 minutes so I can deal with this because obviously, you know, something went wrong. Let me phone a friend. You know, let me get a 50-50 here. You know, get a vote. You know, even if you have to be like, okay, we need to stop and next week, you know, I will address this because I actually had to do that with the Star Wars game. That I did down in Mind Games, you know, the Come to Jesus meeting on its year anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because I literally, like, I saw the game falling apart, and I was like, okay, stop, and give me a week, and I called up Howard, I called up Cyrus, I was looking at Wikipedia, I mean, I was looking through all my books, it has been a while, even since, much less before, that I have done that much research on it for a game, because I realized I'd done screwed up. Granted, huh?
You finish first.
Well, I was about to say, granted, it wasn't 100% all on me because I had some troubled players in that game as well, but there was confusion in there, and that confusion was because of me, because apparently I didn't make things quite as clear as I thought. So anyway,
I also kind of was wondering, like, how do you mentally, like, after you realized you have completely fucked up, how do you get back up and keep going?
Well, Miri, the thing to ultimately remember is it's just a game. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you screw up. It's not the end of the world if the game has to end. It's just a game. There will be more games.
Yeah. And actually, honestly, that's a learned skill.
Yeah.
Learning how to pick yourself back up after that, dust yourself off, and to move on or to start on something else. That is sometimes it can suck, but you literally just have to be like, all right, that fucked up.
It's like a breakup.
Yeah, kind of. And I would also say take a step back, look at where it screwed up, and be like, how can I learn not to do that again?
And part of that can be as much as I need to learn the rules or setting better, or it could be I need to not let certain people in my game anymore.
Yeah, or I need to be able to learn how to read my players better, because like one of my most spectacular failures, and I don't even really put the majority of this on me, although I see where I could have done better, is I had a game literally blow up in my face in the span of 3 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, it happened so fast I could do no damage control whatsoever. Like literally, I was playing, and then all of a sudden, boom! People were handing me their character sheets and walking out of the room, and I was just like, "What the fuck happened?"
Yeah, it's total catastrophe.
I think I need some backstory there too.
Okay. Well, that was actually down in North Carolina, but I think it was before I met Matt and you, Allison. It was with John, Corey, and I think it was still with, God, I can't remember his name or his wife's name. No, I think Rob was involved in that too.
Which John? Wheelchair John?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that.
There's the
Yeah.
problem.
Well, actually, not really. Although it did involve him. It was actually between John and Corey. There was an issue.
We had difficulties the one time we tried the game with John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, John could actually be a very good player, but it's one of those that you need to kind of handle. Sometimes got to kind of handle correctly.
Handle with care.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, granted, again, one of the best gaming experiences I've had is when he and Liz and I were role playing, and he turned Vader back to the light before the events of Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
Yeah, we had to rewrite a couple of years of Star Wars history. But yes, anyway.
Game that ended in 3 seconds.
Yeah, so apparently Corey was getting on John's nerves, and I can kind of understand that, because Corey was...
That's kind of what Corey did.
Yeah, because Corey was, again, one of the other problem players I had in the Come to Jesus meeting. But anyway, and so I had a situation where it was taking place in my world, Draco Teramata, where a section of my world got enveloped by Ravenloft. So I was throwing a horror aspect into things. And it was actually because of the actions, I think, of John's character that's what kind of caused it. But that was okay. I was rolling with it. That was fine. But John had built his character a certain way, and he kind of felt that Corey was stealing the light from him, because we were coming up against things that John's character couldn't easily deal with. And so I had specifically put some monsters in the next encounter so that John could deal with them, and then Corey went and dealt with them himself, not dealing with the issue that I had specifically put in there for Corey's character to deal with. And so, yeah, by the time that came and Corey was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this," John was just like, "No," and like handing me his character sheet, and I was just like, literally, it was like, okay, combat happening, let's, initiatives, and okay, and then like literally like, character sheet in hand, walking out of room. I was just like, what the fuck just happened? It literally took me a few seconds to realize the game just fell apart. And it was just one of those that just, there was no coming back from that one. That game died. At that moment, I was just like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to resurrect this. No no magical defibrillator in the world is going to be bringing this one back." It was done, and it was done. We discussed. I talked to John, I talked to Corey, and then we moved on. I started up another game. I don't remember if I remember correctly, Corey wasn't in the next one. Either that or it was the Star Wars game, in which case Corey did eventually come into that one, but then I don't remember a lot of the chronology there, but
yeah. Well, Miri, you didn't meet him.
Was he a capital TG that guy?
A what? No, well,
I'm trying to decide how to put it.
Corey was yeah, it's a little difficult. I actually classify it because of an episode that Howard and I did. I think it was a week or so ago. So an episode or two back, where I felt that Corey was one of those where I tried everything I felt I could to make him a better gamer, and it just did not work. It's like it's one of those cases where I tried everything I could, and just, I tried working with him one-on-one. I tried really going, giving him suggestions, really working with him, and just it just did not work. He wanted to play how he wanted to play, and just it was annoying to both me and to the rest of the players. So,
like, one of the things that he did in the Star Wars game that annoyed the shit out of me was my character was in a relationship with Liz's character, and
because she likes the fish man.
Yeah, which
and
I chose the fish man to try to avoid that kind of thing, but Liz has weird tastes.
Her characters have weird tastes. Because it was her character that informed her of this.
Right.
I mean, I suppose I can't say too much since I'm playing the lion sexual druid.
Exactly.
You got no room to talk. But so like they were on a date on Mon Cal, and like they were on the other side of the planet from where Corey's character was, and he kept like trying to insert himself into the scene, which would have been annoying enough on its own, but he was also like trying to have his character disrupt the scene.
Yeah, deliberately. He was doing it to be disruptive. He wasn't doing it out of ignorance. So, one of the things that annoyed me about him was he's the reason why I had to start doing multi-actions the way I do now. And although it is actually how it is written in the book, I was doing them a different way because I didn't really think about it until him. He was the one that up until him, really, most players in my games hoarded their force points because I usually handed them out so little. They burned character points like they were going out of style, but the force points they hoarded because, again, they are very powerful, but I tended not to hand them out very often, so they did. They wanted to save them for that special moment, and sometimes even then. Whereas Corey started dropping at least a force point every combat, sometimes every round, because he was playing basically a martial artist Jedi. Mm-hmm. So, and he realized that his strength damage, the way they did. When you punch someone, the damage you deal was your strength die. And I think even at he had a strength of 4D, which is human maximum. That's Olympic level strength for a human. And he's playing a member of Yoda's race, so he's a foot tall.
Yeah.
But he also realized that with that 3D or 4D strength that he had, it was hard for him to punch through stormtrooper armor, whereas the rest of the Jedi were wielding lightsabers, so that wasn't very difficult for them.
Yeah.
So
there's a reason most of the Jedi carry them.
Exactly. So, I mean, I give him credit for wanting to do something different, but so he started dropping force points because in Star Wars, in the original Star Wars D6, force points doubled everything in the round. Everything you had control in, it doubled it for the entire round, not just for one roll, for the entire round. So he would drop a force point at the beginning, at the beginning of the round, and so therefore he could be, and then would take, 5 or 6 actions, and he was obliterating everything before anyone else got a chance to do anything. which is when I had to institute the rule that, okay, if you're taking multi-actions, everyone finishes their action first, and then you come back and do your second actions. Because again, he had a high perception roll, so he had a high initiative. Then he dropped the force point, take multi-actions, and he could take out 8 or 9 stormtroopers in one round. And then with the force point doubling everything, he was rolling like 8D for his damage, so he could take them out relatively easily. And then here's all the other characters, some of which are combat related. They're like, okay, let's go, and the enemies are all done.
And I think one thing with a different player, what you could have done, kind of what you did with Scavelli's character, where you sort of custom design a way to make it work. Because Scavelli was doing that gunpowder blaster thing.
Yeah.
And you worked with that, and with a different player, with an unarmed martial artist style Jedi, you probably could have done something like that.
Yeah, and looking back, you're right, I could have, but I still think that he probably still would have been dropping the force points.
You're probably...
Yeah, and I told him, I was just like, you do realize you're doing this, you're not getting them back. So, I mean, he started, using them at least somewhat sparingly, but, after a while I had to institute the change in how I did the initiative order and the multi-actions to at least, because it was pissing everyone else off. So.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it was a laundry list of issues.
Yeah, that game had... What's up?
Suddenly I feel a little bad about the guy that I kicked out of my game.
No.
No, don't.
No, because you told me, as to say, you told me that story. You were fully within your right, especially with how he dealt with it afterwards. If he had dealt with it like civilly, I might be like, okay, maybe you could bring him back. Yeah, no, the way he handled it. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, him being mad at me for dropping him from the game. Like, I understood that. Him giving me a bitch rant about me dropping him from the game, I could kind of get that. Okay, I'll give him a couple of days to calm down. Him dropping the itemized list of every way I was wrong in the statement that I gave him, and picking apart every single statement I gave him to try and show me how I was full of shit.
Yep, no, fuck him.
Those words, that was the point where I was like, you know what, no, you've gotten yourself a permanent disinvite forever. And then when I ignored him for 3 days, he threw a bitch fit and dropped me off his contact list and quit everything that he was in that I was also in. And at that point it was like, wow, you're kind of a shit human being.
Yeah, that's to say.
I'm glad I got rid of you.
Sounds like everyone only benefited from this.
Pretty much. Like I said, had he handled it better, I might, I might have given him another chance, but yeah, no. You definitely you definitely did the right thing for that.
I know some of still friends with him who told me that he's apparently one of those people who just doesn't handle, conflict or rejection well, and that he has a lot of issues in his life and stuff, and I understand that, and I feel a little bad because, the natural, I'm getting defensive urge, I understand it, but at the same time, I don't know.
At the same time, he took it too far.
and take this as a good end of an era.
Yes.
He's out of your game.
Thank you for bringing the actual topic back into play.
Yay!
Because I was about to be like, wow, have we really gone off tangent again? But
no, but this is
the end of a different era.
Yep.
This is the end of the character who was Tumblr personified from my game.
Wow. That's wow. Okay, that's really saying something there. But yeah, so I mean, and that's actually a very good point. End of an era can sometimes, the ending of something, an era can be a good thing as well as a bad thing. it's good to try to see it at a good light, even if sometimes the only good light is, okay, that fucking shitstorm is over with, now we can start with something new. Because Lord knows that's happened enough.
Now my players actually want to come to my game.
There you go.
That's always a plus.
Yeah. So, and it's actually interesting to see how, and a lot of the things that we've discussed here so far, because I'm going to try to wrap this up here, that you can have eras within eras. You can have as like, okay, that was the end of that era, but we were continuing on with this to, or it can be a complete, like the Epic game where, okay, everything is freaking stopping. That's the end, or at least it will be next week. Now to start something else entirely. So, right. Speaking of which, let's bring this era to a close.
I'm sorry for rambling on and going off topic a lot.
It was not just you. I will say that. It was not just you.
It is not out of character for this podcast either.
Oh, hell no. If Howard was here, he would probably be, proud.
So my drink is empty, so I agree we need to wrap it up so I can go get some more.
So, okay, so I thank you, the three of you. This has been definitely a very enjoyable episode. And I thank you guys for taking the time to do it, and to definitely has been bringing different viewpoints of stuff that, it's good to have, because sometimes it is just Howard and me, and sometimes we can just, there was an episode, I think, episode before last, that it just got to the point where he and I were just beating the dead horse. Right. It's like we cannot say this in any more different ways. So, and if any of our listeners, and I do apologize for all the coughing, but unfortunately the more I talk, the worse it gets. So, but if any of our listeners have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, or what the fucks, they can tweet us, email us, comment on the blog, comment on the YouTube videos, or email, tweet. Yeah. So there's enough freaking ways to get a hold of us. Dang it, people can do it. So thank you for joining us this week, and again, I thank you guys for being here to keep it from just me talking to myself for an episode. Which I have done before, and those kind of suck.
Could be entertaining.
It literally starts becoming the ramblings of a crazy man, and no.
That's why you need to add alcohol to the equation.
No, we don't.
We still need to play. Was it Jay that suggested the idea of an alcohol-based game? Where we all play, like, Jim Beam.
I don't It was either Jay or Howard. I don't remember which.
I think it was Jay, and we would of course drink during the game. I think Jay said he would GM.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us this week. Hopefully you'll join us next week. I have been your GM Byron. These have been my guests.
I'm Miri. I'm Miri.
Are you Miri? I'm a little confused about this point now.
Yes, I am Miri.
Roll high, play well, die hard.